Welcome, everybody, to another episode of What's NXT for January 17th, 2019. I am, of course, your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined, as always, by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
And this week was a pretty good episode. How'd you enjoy it, Jerry?
Well, I was already psyched for it, like knowing full well one of our collective favorite tag teams going to be back in action. And then I expected it to be pretty promo heavy, especially heading into the TakeOver pay-per-view in 2 weeks, I think it is.
Mildly.
So, and then having Keith, possibly Keith Lee wrestling, which is always great.
Well, going into the show, we knew Keith Lee was going to wrestle Cassius Ohno because it was on the graphic for the episode. And we don't watch it on the network when it airs. We watch it, later on demand. And so we knew that was happening. And mostly I was looking forward to the Street Profits, and we got that right up front.
Oh, yes. They come out, and they're going against, what was it? Chris and JC Metro.
The Metro Brothers.
Yeah, cool look for the guys. I'll give them that much.
I'm not sure if they're debuting, but they might have been on before we started watching. But they look like a tag team. They function like a tag team. Unfortunately, they looked and functioned like a jobber tag team, and that's what they were.
I was about to say, they had this futuristic Deuce and Domino looking vibe going for them.
I tell you, one of them, and I couldn't tell you whether it was Chris or JC. I have no idea which one was which. One of them looked an awful lot like Flash Morgan Webster.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys watch our NXT party, you know who that is. This was a showcase match for the Street Profits. They looked pretty good. Not great. It was actually a really short match.
I think the entrances actually lasted longer than the match did.
Yeah, I tell you, Dawkins had like 3 moves total. He had a shoulder block tackle, from one of them was running at him. And then he had 2 of those knockout punches that he does. The first one was significantly sicker looking than the second one was. But he does one on each one of them, and then Ford goes up top rope, and I say frog splash, but let me tell you something. This was a very special frog splash. Yes. I don't think I've seen anybody get as much air as this motherfucker did on this frog splash.
I was about to say, the only person I've seen get more air on a move like that's been Ken Doane with his leg drop back when he was in the Spirit Squad, or when he was Kenny Dykstra. And, I was about to say, that's closest to amount of air, because Montez Ford gets way, way, way up there.
Yeah, and Jerry schooled me. He said Montez Ford is, what did you call it, a high jump
Yep, high jump champion.
And I'm like, okay, so that makes sense. But traditional squash match, very short, but it did the job. I'm still hyped for the Street Profits. Well, and there was a gentleman in the crowd in the front row that had a Street Profits flag. Dude, I want a Street Profits flag. Perfect colors. I would put it right back up here, and they'd be a part of the set for the entirety until they get called up.
So, for some reason, the Street Profits do watch this. Hook us up.
Yeah, look us up, man. If you message me somehow, I will give you an address to send that fucking flag to. Hook us up. I would love to fucking put the Street Profits up here and advertise for them every week.
The other thing I like about the Street Profits is, right on top of their athleticism and everything, is watching Dawkins, like you said, just smack the hell out of somebody.
Everybody!
And Montez Ford just cracking up.
No, he started cracking up after Dawkins essentially laid him out. They were doing that chest smack, to hype each other up, and Dawkins did a couple of them and then just whoosh, knocked Ford to the ground. And Ford looked scared for a second.
And Dawkins, I guess, was trying to apologize. I'm sorry.
I guess this is a story where Dawkins doesn't know his own strength.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny because, Dawkins is like, Angelo's like, I wasn't trying to hurt you. My bad. And turns around, knockout punch. Turns around, knockout punch. And then at this point, Ford's over in the corner, still on his back, laughing.
Cracking up.
Laughing. He's like, all right, tag me in. And at that point, he goes for that ridiculous frog splash. And I recommend watching this match. It won't take you long. Definitely see it.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, they can probably replay it on the WWE.com or network at this point. It only take about 15-20 seconds, it seems like.
Now, the aftermatch might have actually lasted longer than the match itself. And by aftermatch, I mean the Forgotten Sons come out, and not just the tag team of Cutler and Blake, all three of them. Jackson Riker joins them, so they've got the 3-on-2 advantage, and they beat fucking down the Street Profits.
It was initially just Cutler and Blake, and then like Jackson joined up like right towards the end there.
I think the story that they were telling on commentary was that during the awesome promo that the Street Profits had last week, they forgot to mention the Forgotten Sons. We're not forgotten anymore, right? So, but the crowd chanting, "We forgot you!"
Yeah.
Brilliant. Love the Full Sail crowd. This is great. Sets up a feud between them. Hopefully that can culminate sometime soon. Maybe that'll be
the extra match on Takeover.
That would be awesome. I'd love to see the Street Profits in a Takeover length. You know, a good 15, 17, 18-minute match. Probably
it could be a 6-man tag if they find one other person to join up.
Nah, fuck that. Just those two. Just Jackson Riker on the outside, because you know that probably he's going to interfere. That's where you introduce somebody to come out and maybe feud with him in the future. You know, even the odds so that the Street Profits can have the win at the pay-per-view.
As we've established with takeovers, or what you've schooled me on, there's really no like screwy finishes or anything.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, because if Jackson Riker has to be countered somehow, so at the pay-per-view you introduce somebody that comes out and like takes him out, and then distracts Cutler and Blake long enough for the Street Profits to get the victory. It's not nefarious means when you're a babyface, you know. Yeah, it's definitely the good thing to do when you're a babyface. It's nefarious when you're a heel, but it is what it is. So up next, we get an interview backstage with Matt Riddle. And this was a little weird, because I figured they'd be interviewing Keith Lee, because he's the one that's got the match in the main event tonight against Cassius Ohno. But no, they're interviewing Matt Riddle about, I guess, his thoughts about it. And essentially, this is just to let us know that he is not medically cleared to be anywhere near a ring right now. So he will not be out there with Keith Lee. So this will be one-on-one. And my thoughts was Cassius Ohno is going to find somebody to come out and help him get the victory, and there's nothing that Matt Riddle can do about it. But we'll get to that when we get to the main event.
But my thing it was annoying because Matt Riddle already talks like he's concussed. So I couldn't really tell if this was just his injury talking, or if this was just him.
He talks like a brainless surfer, and I'm sure it's part of the gimmick. I'm sure it's acting, but he's way too good at it, and it's just sometimes it's not so fun to listen to him talk. Just saying. Especially when you have somebody
like that can deliver a promo like Keith Lee standing there silently.
Yeah, just in the background. He was there.
Yeah.
So up next we get a proper promo. Mm-hmm. Video in the back with some eerie background because it's Aleister Black.
And some smoke.
And he, of course, is challenging Tommaso Ciampa at NXT TakeOver for the NXT Championship.
Yeah.
So this is, of course, what we're going to get to hear about.
Yep.
And it's Aleister Black. I really didn't take away anything from this noteworthy other than it was just Aleister Black talking to Ciampa about
absolving you,
the title.
Absolving you of your sins, fade to black. Mm-hmm. Pretty much your standard Aleister Black, I'm gonna beat the holy hell out of you speech, and then that was it.
Now don't get me wrong, it still helps hype me for the main event.
Oh yeah,
possibly the main event. Probably. Do you think the title match is going to be the main event?
Gotta be, right? Yeah, it's gonna
this time finally. So that'll be nice. That'll be pretty cool.
I see probably War Raiders and Undisputed Era being before that, and Johnny Gargano and Ricochet probably being mid-card.
There's no telling the order. Probably the Tag Team Championships will be the first match on the card, like we saw with NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool.
That threw me a little bit, but okay, we're not going to talk about that match right now.
So after Aleister Black's promo, we get another match. No, an in-ring promo.
Yep.
Excuse me, because we've got Bianca Belair, the EST of NXT. And
I had to actually have him explain to me the whole EST thing. I thought it was an acronym.
So this is Bianca Belair, who is the female #1 contender, and she's the best, and she's gonna win. And then Shayna Baszler comes out, because about time we fucking seen Shayna Baszler. What did she had, a fucking ankle sprain or some shit?
I don't know.
She's been gone for like a fucking month. Same as Keith Lee.
As she,
But anyway,
as she comes out with Jessamine Duke and
Marina Shafir, and of course, because they're tagging along and they're learning along the way, and hopefully they will learn fast so we can get the 4 horsewomen of MMA versus the 4 horsewomen of the WWE soon.
We'll go ahead and talk about that real quick. Since
you know what, you had some shit to say about that, so let me get through. Basically, it goes back and forth, and Shayna Baszler tells Bianca that she may have these big arms and she may be, big and bad, but she's gonna rip off her arms and she's gonna hurt her and blah blah blah. Bianca Belair slaps a taste out of Shayna Baszler's mouth. Yep. And of course you've got Duke and Shafir getting ready to attack her. And for some reason they do it one at a time.
That was the whole thing. Baszler actually said, "Oh, you're worried about these two behind me. No, you should have to worry about them." She turned around to tell Jessamine Duke and Shafir to scoot back, and then she turned around and got the taste slapped out of her mouth.
Yeah, and then she ducks probably just a clothesline from one of them, and then ducks out and under the ring, rolls out, and gets out of there. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. She got away from him. So that's cool. It was relatively short. We actually got 4 matches on this card, so that was cool. Our next match. Well, no, wait. Before we get there.
Yeah.
You had something to say about the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsemen.
Yeah, they're really trying to push this at this point. It looks like on WWE television.
It's interesting. People want to see it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think they really gather that 2 of the MMA 4 horsewomen are not ready for prime time. They've only wrestled 1 match in NXT and they lost. And it wasn't even a convincing match. It wasn't a great match at all.
They're learning. But from what I'm told, one of them is really natural in the ring, and she's going to be something special, but it's still going to take time.
But you have, on one side, you have Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Bayley, and Becky. And then you have a woman who's definitely ready, and Shayna Baszler. You have one that's half ready, which is Ronda Rousey. And you have the other 2 that aren't ready at all. So, yeah, does this feud need to happen? Absolutely, but give them a little more seasoning first. Otherwise, it's going to make the NXT product a little bit.
If this turns into a 4-on-4 match, you have got Shayna Baszler and, to a degree, Ronda Rousey to carry the match. You've got basics instilled into Duke and Shafir, enough so that they could get that done and probably not fail too hard at it. I'm just saying it would probably still be a really good match. Remember back before WrestleMania, thinking about Ronda Rousey in that tag match with Kurt Angle against Stephanie and Triple H.
Yeah.
How bad we thought that match was going to be.
Yeah.
But it didn't turn out that way.
No,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They have the ability when necessary. And apparently when they book around Ronda Rousey, they make her look good. So they could do this. But I agree with you that Duke and Shafir need to stay in NXT for a little while longer and get some seasoning before they call them up. They are a little too anxious to get this feud going, and there's telltale signs on the main roster right now. We won't get into it, but I mean, it looks like that they're hopefully going to get at least the pieces of the puzzle ready to be put together. Mm-hmm. Right now they've got a feud going on between Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
They've had Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. They've had Ronda Rousey and Becky. Now, if the next person that Ronda Rousey faces is Bayley, I think we might be looking at Shayna Baszler, Duke, and Shafir call up very, very fucking soon. Like, after the Royal Rumble soon.
So, to pretty much build for a match at WrestleMania?
Like, yeah, I mean, I could see some shit go down between Ronda Rousey and Bayley at the Royal Rumble, either before or after or during the match with Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this could be something that happens out of the blue and very, very soon. Or they could take your advice and leave Duke and Shafir in NXT for a while to get some more seasoning. Unfortunately, that means that Shayna Baszler maybe stays with them for that entirety.
Is that unfortunate or is that a good thing now?
For us as people that watch and review NXT,
Baszler,
that's a good thing because we get to keep Shayna Baszler for a while. But for Shayna Baszler, who's ready to get the big bucks on the main roster. She is ready.
Mm-hmm.
To be held back just because, the two of your friends are not ready kind of sucks a little.
Yeah.
Because it's the same company. Should be okay. I'll just move up and wait for you, I'll be up here with Ronda. We'll be buds.
So I probably wouldn't shock you if they showed up, like, on, at the Royal Rumble, and, like, in Ronda Rousey's corner. And then, like, have the other, like...
If they're there, I don't think they'd be in her corner. They'd be at ringside.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any reason for Bayley or Charlotte or Becky, any of the three. Well, maybe Bayley. But unless Ronda's got somebody solid in her corner, I don't see a reason for even Bayley to be in the corner of Sasha Banks at the Royal Rumble. Sure. I would see this as something that happens the Monday after the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
To build for something for WrestleMania. But if they're not going to build for WrestleMania, I don't see them calling up Duke and Shafir and Shayna Baszler for a while. Which, like I said, sucks for Shayna, good for us.
Yep.
So up next, we have...
the butt.
Let me try to pronounce this. First name's not bad. Adrian. Jaoud.
Jaoud.
It's like J and 3 vowels and a D-E. It's like A. It's either A-U-O or A-O-U. Jaoud versus Dominic Dijakovic.
Yes.
Chekov. I'm sorry, Dijakovic.
Dijakovic. I even hyphenated to make sure I got the name right.
I don't have any notes for this match. Most of the match was like
capoeira. It was a lot of like Brazilian, almost like fighting, and bunch of counters.
Almost like fighting. That is the best way to put that.
Almost like fighting.
This made Adrian look kind of good, but kind of not so good. Like he looked like he really knows what he's doing in an actual wrestling match, in like Olympic wrestling, or maybe a Thai jiu-jitsu. It's one of those matches that's not wrestling, not sports entertainment. Looks like he knows what he's doing, but doesn't look very entertaining at all.
No.
It looks a little silly if you don't know what the style is.
I was about to say, like, I was kind of zoning in and out of the match, and then, Dijakovic started hitting some of his moves.
He hit a couple of power moves, and then he hit his, what does he call it?
Feast Your Eyes.
His Feast Your Eyes.
Yeah.
So he's going to name his finisher after his...
First he got that stick kick in, which I was like, and then Feast Your Eyes, which is always looks great, but this time
I think he put a little extra swing into his knee.
Yes,
and it looked really fucking cool. The replay looked terrible. Was either a terrible angle or they zoomed in too far or something. The replay.
I think that's what it was. They zoomed in too far on that one.
But it's a win for Dominic. Let's
Yep.
just call him Dominic.
Yeah,
So I stop making fun of him, because I actually kind of like this guy, even though, like I said, the first half of the match was bad. But I don't think that was his fault. I think that was the style that Adrian had for trying to work a match.
I was about to say he tried a lot of wear down, and it just didn't work out for him.
So up next, we get a very cinematic video promo for the War Raiders. They are in Viking outfits. They are holding torches. There are some chairs in the background that have the logo of the Undisputed Era on them, and they are stacked atop a bunch of hay. And who didn't guess where this was going?
Yep, we get them pretty much saying that the era of the Undisputed is over.
Yeah, they're gonna go to NXT Takeover. What is it, Phoenix? And they are going to win the NXT Tag Team Championships. And I kind of believe them.
This is pretty much a celebration of their wins prior to this one, and pretty much a celebration for the win that they're going to have.
Yeah, and as I alluded to, they lit the chairs on fire because they were sitting in hay and they were holding torches. It
was a Viking funeral for Undisputed Era.
So that's what that was. And we had a video cap of NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool, which was pretty awesome, really well done. Went through each of the 5 matches.
Yeah.
And told enough of each of the stories. It's kind of hard with the tag match, and it's kind of hard with the main event, but you get it. And it just took me back, man. NXT TakeOver Blackpool UK TakeOver Blackpool was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would rate the show like an A+ or anything crazy like that, But it was a great experience for it to be the very first episode. And if you haven't seen our review on that, you should really check it out. It's on NoDQ.com. We had Aaron Rift himself up on the big screen. So we've already gotten 1,100 views on that.
11, our highest viewed video that we've made thus far. So,
and we want to thank everybody out there in the NoDQ galaxy and everybody out there that has watched that's not in the NoDQ galaxy. If you watched and you are still watching us, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. I was blown away. Like maybe 1,000 views isn't much to some people, but to me that's fucking amazing. So thank you guys. Next is our I don't know why this wasn't the main event. Fuck. Johnny Gargano.
Johnny Gargano, our pick for NXT Wrestler of the Year.
And maybe his opponent was the reason it wasn't the main event, Humberto Carrillo. But let me tell you, if you watch this motherfucker in the ring, he is main event ready. Like, he puts on an awesome fucking match. The only critique I have of this guy is he did the handspring off the ropes into an elbow, like everybody does. And I'm like, you can't look out for an elbow. You can't just dodge it. Like, come on, fuck. But other than that, he was fucking amazing. I've got, like, all my notes up until the end are Carrillo does this and Carrillo does that.
Well, the spot that always, like, gets me, I think, is the slingshot that he gets massive air on and pulls off an arm drag. Like, he gets so much air on that arm drag, it's frightening.
You are a fan of the air.
Yes.
So I've got one spot where Carrillo goes for a suicide dive, and Gargano jumps in the ring before he gets out there and jumps on the apron and then does that slingshot spear. That was wicked. But after that, I mean, Carrillo kind of takes over. He's got Johnny Gargano on the outside, and he runs over for a corkscrew tope con hero. Over the top rope, corkscrew, lands on Gargano, throws him back in the ring, goes up to the top rope. And this is where Jerry thought that he was going to fuck up. But no, lands a drop kick off the top rope. Fuck, so many notes. And then what I can best call an inverted rolling thunder. He starts with his back to a laid down Gargano, does a back roll into like a back flip or whatever, and yeah.
Standing moonsault.
Jesus. This guy is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But this is where he fucks up. He goes to the top rope off of this, goes for a moonsault, and Gargano not only gets knees up, he gets feet up. 2 feet to the chin.
Yep.
Which looks bad. But when you watch, who's Andrade now, no longer Andrade Cien Olmas. Yeah. He does that moonsault off the top rope to a standing position, to a standing moonsault, and you're like, okay, so you can land like that if you're really good. And apparently him and Carrillo are really good. But this is where Gargano takes over. He hits a super kick and then picks up Carrillo for a lawn dart into the middle turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And this is where I said, Johnny Gargano's a heel, man.
Yep.
That is a heel move. He didn't need to do that. He could have come off the super kick with the finisher, which was his slingshot DDT, which looks super amazing because of the way Carrillo sells. He rolls through the DDT, so it looks almost like a brain buster. Just, beautiful. And gets the pinfall.
Yeah. And then we get a little bit of trash talk from Gargano.
Yeah, straight to the camera. No mic. Trash talking Ricochet. Challenges Ricochet, meet me here next week.
Yep.
So it looks like we're going to get a face-to-face between Ricochet and Johnny Gargano.
Right before the pay-per-view.
Probably Ricochet's going to, get one over on Gargano here. He's going to stand tall at the end of this. Maybe this will be the main event segment. Next is a Tommaso Ciampa promo to answer basically, I guess, the Aleister Black promo. And this is not your typical Tommaso Ciampa promo, I noticed, because it's not, I think, his phone sitting there stationary and him talking to it. This is a cameraman moving with him.
Well, he's not in some sort of undisclosed area this time. I mean, like, he actually looks like he's in a back lot or something at this point versus, like, the back of a truck. So
he's out on the pier or some shit. He's not to be found by Aleister Black, because apparently what he's acknowledging here is that Aleister Black has the intentions of getting to Tommaso Ciampa before their match at TakeOver, and Tommaso Ciampa intends on that not to happen because he says he is a main event player and he is going to fight in the main event at the biggest stage possible, and in this case, TakeOver.
See, that's my thing. I can buy into a champion only defending at like the big events like this. I can imagine that, but if you're like spacing it out maybe every 3 big events or something, that gets old really, really quickly.
You mean like a certain Brock Lesnar? I mean, unnamed champion.
An unnamed Universal Champion.
So after Tommaso Ciampa's promo, we get a Velveteen video package, which I have to note is the exact same promo or video package that we got for him on, and I've got the date here.
December 26th.
The day after Christmas, we got this exact... I have not yet seen NXT recycle a video package. This is my first time here. I don't know what to say about it.
If they do recycle it, they actually meld it in together with another one, kind of like they did with Eddie Dennis and Mastiff. They'll actually like merge them together in some way, shape, or form. This is verbatim the same video package.
Copy paste, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what to say about it other than the fact that I don't think it was a good enough video package to copy paste. It was okay. I think the best note I had from it for last time was when he snapped his fingers and poofed away in a cloud of purple smoke.
My favorite part's the part where he starts listing off all the wrestlers. I've already told him how great of a job he's doing.
With the tweets on the screen. Yeah, we remember.
Mm-hmm.
So that's...
Well, that was after the silent squash match with Jackson Riker.
Yeah, terrible match. So I guess the promo was probably better to us after seeing that match than it is now seeing it the second time. So we're on to the main event. We have got Cassius Ohno versus Keith Lee. This is kind of a grudge match. Keith Lee is trying to get back at Cassius Ohno for the beatdown that he put onto Matt Riddle that's got Matt Riddle uncleared by medical staff to be anywhere near the ring.
Yeah.
And that's the setup. The match was not bad. The first thing I noticed from this match is that maybe Cassius Ohno watches our show.
Very well may.
He may have taken exception to the fact that we referred to him as the guy that ate too many Chris Heroes. Because he looks like he's in much better shape, and he wrestles like he's got more stamina, at least a little bit.
I think what may have happened is after his win against, he didn't win.
Well, no, say what you said. You think that he got offered a contract to be called up to the main roster if he got in better shape.
Yeah. But also I think it's the fact that he's finally found his swing again, because that attack that he did on Matt Riddle.
He found his smile.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, compliments to Cassius Ohno. Looks like you're getting into ring shape. And again, apologies to everybody that thinks we have no room to talk. We know that. But we are not professional wrestlers.
We are gluttonous bastards, yes.
Well, I mean, we spend 40 plus hours a week doing our job. Their job is to go to the gym and look good so that they can show up one day every week or a couple of days on the weekends for NXT house shows to look good.
Yep.
So that's just, our critique because we're reviewing wrestling.
Yes.
Other than that, the match was okay.
It's pretty much what I expected. A bunch of power moves and a bunch of striking coming out of Ohno.
I've got some notes.
Yeah.
I've got one. Ohno counters a run. Keith Lee is running at him into the corner. This was innovative, I guess. I'm sure I've seen it before. He does a log roll, trips him up, takes Keith Lee into the middle turnbuckle. This is where he takes over, and it's basically strikes after strikes after strikes, bashes to the back, forearms to the side of the head. I mean, everything but that discus forearm, that rolling elbow. We've got Lee countering a running or standing senton, so he gets gets his knees into the back of Cassius Ohno. This is where he takes over, and he starts getting really pissed because up until that point, like I said, strike after strike, just Cassius Ohno is wearing out Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Lee is on the apron, takes Ohno's head into the turnbuckle, and here's the high spot. Slingshot crossbody looked really good. I think he got a near fall out of that.
Yeah.
And then he counters that discus forearm, that rolling elbow, with a massive pounce. Just a little fun play off of the ropes. He goes to the other side, boom, pounce. And you imagine like this 300-pounder hitting a 300-pounder.
Cassius leaves his feet.
Knocking her into the corner.
He gets a little bit of air, but that's it. Yeah.
But at some point during Keith Lee's beatdown of Cassius Ohno, because like I said, he looked really like they got a shot of his face. He looked really convincing, pissed off, just the sweat pouring down, just angry. And you've got Cassius Ohno on the mat begging him off. Well, Ohno gets to the ropes and basically pushes Lee into the ref, puts an elbow to the side of his face, and so the ref is distracted. While the ref is distracted, fucking Ohno's going to do what a heel's going to do. And around these parts in WWE, the thing to do, low blow.
Yeah.
So we get a yam bag blow by Cassius Ohno. This is where he takes over, does that rolling elbow. 1, 2, 3.
He almost clipped the referee with the low blow too. That would have been hilarious.
How do you sell that? What do you do? The poor ref.
Right, almost right in the taint.
Like I said, this was an okay match. I guess they probably didn't have a lot of expectations going into this.
And Riddle comes out afterwards, or attempts to with his green neon flip.
Well, they try to hold him back, but he runs to the ring. But it really doesn't matter because Cassius Ohno's like, I'm done. I did my job, and he rolls out of the ring and gets out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, if Keith Lee would have won, I don't think the story would continue. My thought was that Cassius Ohno was going to have somebody come out and help him win, since Matt Riddle wouldn't be able to be there to do anything about it. But I started looking back through my notes, and there is fucking nobody. There is no single wrestler heel on the brand that could fill that role unless we had somebody debut. Because EC3's gone, and he was kind of going babyface there at the end anyway.
It's like
everybody else is in tag teams. The only guy that could have done it was Adam Cole, but he's with the Undisputed Era, and they're, you know, handcuffed to the tag title in that match going on at TakeOver right now. So do you pull him away from the Undisputed Era to do some stuff on his own? I don't think so. You're not going to do that with Roderick Strong. So there was nobody. So I'm like, okay, so I guess this match has to have an ending, and you have the heel win with heel tactics, and the feud goes on.
I'm just hoping we don't get another Cassius Ohno and Matt Riddle for TakeOver.
Is there anybody in NXT UK you could think that they could pull over for a tag team match to put Matt Riddle and Keith Lee in a match against Ohno and somebody else, setting up Keith Lee and Matt Riddle being a tag team, maybe saying, hey, we're really good at this, we should go for the titles? I mean, we called for this for 2019, them being in a tag team.
I'd have to think on it a little bit, but
there's nobody in NXT right now that could fill that role, and that is sad. We need some new people in NXT soon. I really didn't think that they were that short, but the mid and the lower card really are.
Yep.
So that brings us to the end of the main event. And around these parts, we rate the main event with the General's 5-star rating. And Jerry, out of 5 stars, where would you put this main event?
I'm going to still put it as a solid 3. I couldn't really get too much into the match because I already had in my head that Ohno was going to win. Like you said, to prolong the feud a little bit more, since it seems like Matt Riddle and Ohno aren't done by a long shot. But Keith Lee, not as impressive as he usually is for me in the ring. I don't know, maybe if he's just slowed down, or maybe that loss to Lars Sullivan on his last match kind of like, you know, took away some of his thunder or his glory that we're supposed to be basking in. But he just didn't impress me nearly as much. He looked like he's having a lot more problems with Cassius Ohno than he really should have. But at the same time, there's a lot of great strikes in the match. We got to see like a couple of great power moves naturally out of Keith Lee, but it's pretty much meat and potatoes. And I was still still hyped up from the match before with Gargano and Carrillo.
Yeah, like I said, which should have been the main event.
It's pretty much
that would have been a 4-star main event, easy.
Yeah, and they probably went backstage, looked at Keith Lee and Ohno and said, you know,
two big names. It's a showcase match. You got both guys, so I get it. Because Humberto Carrillo, as awesome as he was, name value wise, you're not going to put him on the marquee when you've got Cassius Ohno versus Keith Lee.
They'd put on a hell of a ladder match if they made that too.
I do not agree with you in that it seems like Keith Lee took more damage than he should have, because it's two big guys versus each other. Keith Lee is just a little bit bigger than Cassius Ohno. Yeah. And the way Cassius Ohno took over, that surprise log roll that took Keith Lee into the middle fucking turnbuckle, it just makes sense. It gives him the opportunity to get ahead, and he stayed ahead for a good 3 or 4 minutes just with strikes, just different strikes. And he showed me he knows how to do a lot of different fucking strikes. I think you are spot on with a 3-star, however. Given our recent critiques of Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero, I believe for a 10-minute match, he did a really good job. Oh, yeah. He kept me mildly interested for most of it. And then there at the end, I was quite interested in things going on, mostly probably because of Keith Lee. But still, for his part, Cassius Ohno did a really good job. And then, of course, Keith Lee's gonna. I think for a 10-minute match, this was actually really good, considering Cassius Ohno and Keith Lee. Keith Lee seems to be very low on cardio ability as well. Like, he seemed to be very winded toward the end. But I think given what they had, they did a really good job. I'm going to give it 3.25 stars.
Just bump it up just a little bit.
Just for Cassius Ohno looking like he's putting in some effort. Mm-hmm. And maybe he's found a smile again, like you said. Like, it's just him finally finding his niche, and he's ready to give it the old college try again.
We'd hope.
So that brings us to the end of this episode of What's NXT. And I want to give a shout out to the NXT party that we, of course, do on Fridays, reviewing the NXT UK brand. And if you'd like to be on the big screen and review the NXT UK brand with us, we want you to be on. That is my actually favorite part of the week of doing these reviews, is having the No DQ Galaxy up on the big screen. And that was the idea behind it. But we are now down finally to 1 episode a week, which I am so glad about.
It's definitely going to make for a shorter night.
Yeah. So if you'd like to be on a future episode of the NXT party, please contact me on Twitter. You can go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you'd just like to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find this gentleman on Twitter
at NoDQ General, and also my group on Facebook, Armbar, capital ARMBAR, exclamation point. And just find one of us, and we'll go ahead and get you added in there. We have a lot of different discussions going on, crazy memes, whatever. It's whatever. Fans. It's fans doing fan stuff.
Yeah, if you've been in one wrestling group on Facebook, you've been in them all. It's just another one. It's just more wrestling memes for you on your timeline. Mm-hmm. That's all that means. So again, if you'd like to join us, just hit us up. Or if you don't have Twitter, if you don't have Facebook, put down in the comments a way that we can get a hold of you. One of our fans, I've just been chatting through email. And hopefully we're going to get him on either next week or the week after. Mm-hmm. I believe we have somebody lined up for tomorrow. I will know for sure tomorrow, just in time. Hopefully. It will be a brand new first-time guest for the NXT party, so that's going to be really cool. I believe Colin will be on our show, hopefully, if he gets back to me. But next week, we don't have that filled quite yet. I have a possible. It seems after the show with Aaron, the review show for NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool,
people know we exist now.
I got a bunch of different requests. We're also looking forward to having Jeff Meacham on the show instead of just as a panelist for the predictions video. He's actually going to review the show with us, which is really cool because we found out that Jeff's a fan. Like that stopped me for a second. That was cool. He said he's been watching since the beginning, and that's awesome. I know Aaron doesn't watch, but for Jeff to watch, Jesus. So shout out to Jeff, man. Thank you for being a fan, and thank you for offering to be on the show. Hopefully we'll be able to get that done. So, for the General Jerry Slaughter, I am, of course, the Rated R reviewer, the wizard of NoDQ.com, Stefan Osborne, and we'll see you in NXT time.